Is that a breakup?
I think we have a situation right here.
On the Feeling Station.
Hello, hello.
Hey, what's happening?
Nothing much, nothing much. What's good?
The moment has finally arrived. Thank goodness. I've been waiting a good week and a half for this, and I know I'm not going to be disappointed, right?
I know, so was I.
Well, before we go too far, I need to let you know that I'm recording an episode for the Feeling Station podcast. So please do your best, your absolute best, not to say your name, okay?
Okay.
If you do get to say your name, I'll have some work in post-production and I'll be able to cover it off, so don't stress too much. All right?
Okay. Yeah.
Now, for those listening to the podcast for the first time, it touches on breakup stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give you, the listener, a lesson or lessons that you could learn from. We hope that you find the story entertaining, but more importantly, meaningful, given the meaning behind everything we're going to talk about today. And part of the reason why the podcast continues to do well is we do our best to keep our guests and whoever they were talking about anonymous. Which brings me to the fun part, giving you a name, right?
Sure.
So last weekend we were up in North Africa, and this weekend we've come back down south and we're in the warm heart of Malawi.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah. And the name that I have for you, drum roll, is Teleza, right? Which is Teleza, Teleza. Now, when I saw this for the first time, I thought, oh, this sounds too much like Teresa. But when I looked at the meaning, then I was like, oh, yeah. You know, then it actually is Malawian. And the meaning, oh, man, this made me chuckle. The meaning of this name is slippery. Right? Slippery. And I don't know whether this applies either to you or the guy that you're going to talk about. Was any of you two by any chance slippery?
I would say the guy, honestly.
Oh, really? The guy was slippery?
Yeah.
Well, I hope you can remember that. So your name is Teleza. I don't know if you want to shorten that to T or whatever works best for you. Okay.
Okay.
And here's the fun part for me. You need to give the guy a name.
Okay. So I decided to stay in the southern region of Africa, and it's from a country, Zimbabwe, and I gave him the name of Zizo.
Zizo, D-Z-I-D-Z-O.
Yes.
Oh, what does that mean?
It means listen.
Sounds like this guy taught you one hell of a lesson, huh?
Life-changing, I can tell you that.
Oh, dear. Okay, that takes me straight into the next part. What lessons would you like people listening to this episode to learn from your story?
Okay, this was a bit hard for me, but I did break it down to like at least 3 lessons.
Okay.
But I feel like the more I speak, people can pick up from, here is where she made the mistake, here's where he made the mistake.
Right.
So I think my first lesson was we all learn differently.
Okay.
Some learn through experience, and that's not a problem.
Okay.
Okay, so that was the first lesson.
Okay, great.
The second one is relationships are not baseball. Leave on the first strike.
Don't be giving them no 3-strike opportunities. Leave on the first one. Oh,
No.
I really like that. So relationships are not baseball, right? Leave on the first strike.
Yes, sir.
And your third lesson?
My third lesson is take time to know yourself, know your value, because the woman is always the prize.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So learn yourself, pretty much. This is always consistent. In fact, I can almost predict that every episode will have that element. And it's an important element. It's not easy knowing yourself. And I guess reinforcing it to people is always good, right?
Yeah. It's much needed, especially if you're growing, know, so.
Okay, so let's get straight into it. Teleza and Zizo, where did you guys meet?
Okay, so the chain of events happened like graduation to graduation. So we met at a graduation ceremony in the town I live in. And my best friend and her sister, so basically my friends, were graduating.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
yeah, so they were graduating. This is a time where, big families, they come over from all different like states and stuff, and then they come in and then, we celebrate. So in the corner of my eye, I see a man in a blue suit. Okay, that was the first thing I noticed. It was just striking, well dressed, well behaved. But I was like, okay, this is my friend's relative, so I can't be snoop like that.
Yeah.
So of course the graduation happens. We're sat in the same area, and then we go outside. Now we're just taking random pictures, crying and everything like that. And as we're taking pictures, like, I had like a tap on my shoulder, and I was like, okay, who's this? I turned over, and it's Blue Suit.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, of course, I looked fly. Like, I was dressed to kill for any event, right? So, tapped my shoulder. He's like, hey. I was like, hi. And he was like, hey, how are you? Just wondering, like, are you from here? Like, and I was like, yeah, I'm their friend.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, really? When did you come in? We didn't know because I stay pretty close and I'm close to the family. And I was like, first of all, I've been here 2 years.
Yeah.
But I've not seen you before or heard of you.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things, we don't know each other, but I've been here for 2 years. And, we had a friendly exchange that was, pretty decent. So that went on. And I was just like, what, let me just go back, because I didn't want to cause like, when two people are talking, that's fine. But I'm just like, I saw this guy and I found him striking.
Yeah.
So I'm probably blushing. I don't know.
You didn't want it to be obvious to any onlookers who might have watched you guys speaking.
Oh, no. Oh, not even one bit. So
Okay,
I decided to just, cool off and be like,
Yeah,
yes,
but
sir?
but tell me something. What were you actually feeling as you were having this conversation? Because
I was like sweating, and it wasn't from the heat.
You were feeling the brother at that point.
Yeah, I sure was. I sure was.
And sometimes we are able to tell that this person is feeling me too. What vibe did you get from him during that initial conversation?
Just gestures, leaning in, looking me in the eye. I mean, everyone looks me in the eye, but I'm just like, this way, this look, it's different.
So you were
like,
convinced?
I know. Yeah, I was convinced.
Okay.
I was like, sir, you like me, I like you.
So I'm getting out of here.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's just, So,
All
of
right.
course, like we all go. So we had that ceremony at the school, and then we decided to go, like they had made reservations at a hotel, ceremony and everything like that to celebrate as the family and friends. So I was given the task of being the DJ for the event, pretty much,
Nice.
I have good taste in music, and I feel like because I was like fresh from the boat, first of all, like I knew like the different types of music that from home, and then also music from here and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool, it's fine. I did my playlist, I walk in there, and then I'm in the front, everyone emceeing, talking about each other, talking about accomplishments, yada yada. We all cry, and then it's time to party, right? Okay, so DJ put in action, everyone's getting the vibe, everyone's getting comfortable. So like you'll just come over and like be like, oh, you're the DJ. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I'm in here, you know what I mean? You can tell I'm the DJ, but okay.
By any means, just to have a conversation with you, huh? That's what was going on.
It's small conversation. So whilst I was there, like our other friends were there, and I was just like, dude, like this guy, like I don't know who he is, but like he keeps approaching me, and then now it's like, I just feel like he's engaging, but maybe I'm overreacting. Let's see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
So the other time he comes over, so this was more like the family and the kids type situation. So he comes over and he was like, do you drink? And I was like, I do, but their family don't know that I do drink.
Okay.
And, it's one of those things that their family is close to my family, and I'm not ready to tell my family that I do drink.
Yeah.
So he's like, okay.
Yeah.
So he was like, okay, I got you. What do you drink? Are you light or you're dark? And I was like, oh, no, it's something light, And then so he went, and then he got like a Coke, took out the Coke, and then put in a whole mixture for me. He mixed a little some for me.
Yeah.
And then he brought it over. And then I was like, okay, cool. At least, I know that, drinks I'm covered,
Yeah.
So everyone's getting loose. You're trying to dance and everything. But then it's like slowly you can tell he's trying to engage in a dance. But I was like, this is not happening in front of people's parents. I'm not going to be that chick.
Are you a bit of a shy character? Because the few bits you've mentioned so far are presenting yourself as a shy person.
I surely am not
Really?
an ounce of shy.
So what was going on there?
So culturally, it's just, there just comes with a lot of judgment in my culture.
Okay.
And, with people's parents there, I couldn't really and truly unleash myself. But then everyone else, like the kids know who I am. I'm so bubbly, so loud. But like I was giving them the loud me, the sociable me as the family. And I would bring up people to the dance floor. That's more me, it's decent enough, So, but I wasn't like advancing that way. So, anyway, so this whole wrap up deal happened, right? We finish up at the hotel. Everyone's now leaving, but then now the kids go to the after party. So we had planned, we're this routine, we just go to the club and we go drink some more because of course we weren't truly ourselves.
Yeah.
So everyone did like a whole switch up change, I came from my old maxi skirt to my whole mini skirt, so
a whole transformation.
It was full transformation.
Wow.
And on top of that, I was like, I need to impress. Okay. I need to impress some way. So cool. We get there and on our way, as we were discussing, one of the friends was like, oh yeah, he actually approached me too. And he was asking where I'm from. And then, he talked about how his sister is in the place that she's staying at. And I was like, that's friendly because he asked me about more things. You know what I mean? Like I didn't catch on it I just felt it was just a casual conversation. Like for me, he got me a drink. For me, he just kept advancing. For me, it was the lean in and the eye contact, you know?
Yeah.
So, and in the middle, I actually texted one of the cousins and I was like, hey, blue suit. Who is he? And the cousin was like, you might go to black suit, not blue suit.
What does that even mean?
And I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? And I was like, married, ? And then he goes, complicated, but move on, So I was like, but the drinks, the drinks kind of made me like forget about that a little bit, just a little bit, So we get to the club or whatever, and he has a fancy car, like I said, okay, wow, okay, you're somebody, So he's like, oh, you guys are here, and he's like, oh, you're now in heels and everything. Let me walk you in. So arm on arm. I was like,
This guy's doing the most. Yeah.
Doing the most, arm on arm. You guys want some drinks? Let's go get you some drinks, arm in arm. You walk me to the drink. And then he's like, okay, let's get shots. Let's get shots going. His energy was I was like, oh, you definitely, like you and me, oh no, bad news. Because now we're just giving shots away, I wasn't paying for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So it didn't matter. You were just giving him.
Yeah, it would just give, right? So now it's time where everyone was a little like loose.
Yeah.
So now here I am, I'm approaching this guy, and then he grabs me by the waist, everything. Now I'm just like, I didn't say no, So I'm dancing with this guy, it's like good energy, good vibe and everything like that. But then now the cousins are giving me eyes. I'm like, cool guys, like what's going on? You know what I mean? Like, and every time I'm like, okay, let me go to the restroom. So as I went to the restroom, one of their friends actually came with me, and she was like, dude, like what's going on with you and this guy? And I'm like, well, he just buy me drinks, he's just grabbing me by the waist. I said it's okay, like I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
It's just like, she was just like, oh, just be careful. And I'm like, okay, you're saying be careful, like what is this guy, a murderer? Like what is he? You know what I mean? So come back outside, I got that pep talk of being careful, but the drinks,
I was gonna touch on that and just find out, did that at least get you thinking? Because it's the second time somebody has mentioned that you need to be careful with this guy.
Yeah, it did get me thinking.
But
It did get me thinking.
But the drinks were more important at that time.
I think it was now my curiosity as well. I was just like, okay, I'll be honest on that part.
Okay.
So we kept dancing and everything like that. And then now the bars closed. The bars closed pretty early. So people were still like, we still want to go somewhere. Can someone go host at their house? So we were like, okay, cool. So as we were leaving, he was like, no, come in my car and I'll drive with you. How many people were in your car? And I was like, we were 6. And he's like, 6 in the small car? No, you come over because I don't have anyone in the car. And I was like, oh, okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
So, of course, I guess I overreacted because, the doors open by themselves.
Oh, that's a fancy car.
And I was like, okay, this is new to me.
Yeah.
This is new to me. Okay, I got a little excited. So I walked in, I got in and everything like that. And then like the other cousin came and was just like, no, you're going in our car. And I was like, no, I'm not. I'm already sat in a car and my feet hurt.
Yeah.
So I don't know what you've worked up. We are going to the same place. What's the problem? And they're like, it's fine.
That's almost like the third warning now.
Sorry.
I mean, they were coming in thick and fast, eh? These warnings.
They were coming in. Walked so we went to this after party or whatever, and then it was time. It wasn't really like an after party. Like people were inside, we danced a little bit, and then people went outside. People were just talking, and when people start getting drunk, people start getting sleepy and stuff like that. So me and him were just like sat off to the side and we're just talking, and everything like that. So everyone was just wrapping up and we're like, we're tired. People are going back to their hotels. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, well, I stay where I stay. And I was like, can you drop me off? So we went over, he dropped me off. And he said, so I'm probably not going to see you tomorrow because I'll be on my way back to where I stay. And I was like, oh, it's fine. Check you later. But let's exchange numbers. So we exchanged numbers as he was dropping me off. And then he got out of the car, took me out of the car. And then he just said, I've been wanting to do something like the whole night. Can I just kiss you? And I was like, okay.
Okay.
I mean, I was just like, oh, okay, no, that's fine. So we exchanged a kiss.
Jeez.
We surely did. Is it something I do on a regular basis? No. But it happened. And then, he texted me good night, hope you sleep well and everything. Woke up in the morning and then one of that friend, the bathroom friend that warned me, she's the one who came to pick me up. And then we all went to the house with the parents and stuff. So we cook breakfast, we eat a meal and stuff. So we get to the house, and of course, like for me, I am guilty because I start remembering all the opportunities I had to leave this guy, but I did not. It's just like, Tiliza, like, what's going on, girl? So I walk in, and of course, there's like some tense, suspense, some quietness. But my character was just like, to the parents, what's going on? What's going on? I started a debate because everyone was pretty much hungover, but I don't get hungover. So I was like pretty much trying to like liven everyone up. And then, so my best friend and her cousin, they were like, oh, let's go for a drive. And then I just knew. When you just know.
You just knew that, I'm in for it here now. This is when I'm going to get it. Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, cool. Let's go, So we get into the car, we drive a little bit, and then we park like right by the corner. We didn't even go anywhere. They park right by the corner and stuff. And then they were just like, they were asking me questions, like events, like from the night, like how did he approach you? Like, what was he doing?
Yeah.
Like, what gave you the signs? Where did you end up? Did you go to bed? Like, what happened? And then so I was open. I was just like, okay, let me be open. Like, I know this is your guy's relative. This is what happened. Initiated a conversation, etc., and dropped me off, exchanged a kiss, and that was it.
Yeah.
And then when I said exchanged a kiss, one of the cousins was like, and I was like, why are you sighing? It's just like, well, just to let you know, he is married.
Oh.
I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, with 2 kids.
Yikes.
So I was like, it was really like upsetting because he didn't give off that energy.
Yeah.
Like when, at the end of the day, and I'm just like, I get it. I guess honestly, I got the first warning, so that it's complicated. I shouldn't have ignored that,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So yeah,
But
we're having the conversation.
the person who told you that it was complicated, were they part of this group of people who took you to the corner to talk?
Yes.
So
No. They weren't.
Oh,
They
they
weren't.
weren't.
They weren't.
Okay.
Yeah, they weren't. Yeah, and I actually told him. I was like, no, I texted, cousin A,
Yeah.
and I said, cousin, married is like, I know you might look over to the other cousin.
Yeah.
Not this one.
Oh, that's
You
what
know
that
what I mean?
meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, it was just that. And then and the cousin recommended that I block this man. She was
Yeah.
just like, this is the first time this man has just came by himself. And everyone was just suspect of it because he has never come to an event without his
family,
wife.
yeah.
And his family, you know what I mean? So I was like, oh, okay, So, of course, it took me some time. And then mistake number one, after I got back from the house, mistake number one was I texted him. I just said, throughout, how can you be on my grill like this and you don't tell me the biggest thing that you're married?
Yeah.
And then he goes, who told you? And I was like, your cousins did. And, for me, I'm not one person to just be like block and forget. You know what I mean? I was just like, with respect, this is why I'm stopping communication with you.
Yeah.
And then he goes, wait, let me give you a call. So he calls my phone. He's like, are you alone? And I was like, yeah, I'm back at my place. Gives me a call and he starts explaining. He was like, well, it's a little complicated because me and my wife have been separated for a year and we have filed for divorce and it's currently in the works. And you know what? Like, it was a lot of information for one. And then he just said, just give me the benefit of the doubt. Trust and believe me. Like, I want to get to know you. And this won't stop me. So in 2 weeks, can you think about like coming over to my town and we can talk about it? And I was like, I'll think about it, but then it's just you put me in an uncomfortable situation,
Yeah.
And then he said, yeah, it's all up to you, but I'm just telling you to take me by my word and give me the benefit of the doubt. And I was like, okay. So now I then did not inform the cousins
Of course you
about
wouldn't.
this thing.
You wouldn't because because you knew exactly what they would say to you and you weren't ready to hear that, were you?
Yes, I don't think I was ready to hear. Like, you never want to hear that the potential of someone you get to meet and stuff like that is probably not worth meeting, So I kept quiet about everything. And, they had their family. So, of course, attention was off me after that, So in 2 weeks, I decided to hop into my car.
And you drove up to see the man.
Yeah, and I drove up, but it's all expenses paid pretty much. Like, he was like, this is me, you're coming to me and everything. So I'm covering everything. I was like, cool. And I'm okay. I'm okay with driving. Like, I love driving. So I didn't see it as a problem. So he had already reserved a hotel for myself. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's fine.
That was going to be, that was going to be my next question. That were you actually going to his house or you going to a hotel? Because where you would end up would tell a big story.
Yeah.
If he was inviting you home, then you'd be more confident that, okay, he is separated from his wife.
Yeah.
But if he was checking you into a hotel,
exactly,
that would be a bit more suspicious, wouldn't it?
It was suspicious, but here's the twist. I left like in the morning, so I arrived there before check-in time. So he said, no, just come over to the house and we can hang out for a little bit before you go over there. And I was like, oh, okay. So for me, I'm just like, who brings someone to a whole household that probably has family splattered everywhere, you know? So he's just like, no, I felt like it would be uncomfortable for you because you really don't know me. That's why I did the hotel situation. And I was like, yeah, that was really, really good of you and everything. So we sat down, got some water. I got to go to the restroom and everything. But women, as I go to the restroom, of course, I'm like scouting the place. Like, I'm like searching.
Yeah.
I'm searching around and everything like that. And it was just his kids, it was pictures of his kids and his siblings everywhere. And I was like, you know what, it's okay. And let me just let loose a little bit, and then started drinking water. And he started, well, that's the first thing I was supposed to tell you, but I couldn't because only my nuclear family knows about what happened. So his sister, so his siblings, and then his parents had passed away. So it's just his nuclear family that knows. And he's just like, I did want to tell the family, but I felt like that wasn't the event to tell them about what's going on. And it takes more time and courage to do so because, first of all, paperwork is not even done. And I was like, okay, so what position does this put me in? Because now you expressed your interest to me and I've expressed interest to you. Yeah. And that was evident by driving all the way there. Yeah. And, so how does this work? And he's just like, I do want to get to know you. I feel like you're a really good girl. You're a good personality and you're a good person talking to. You're like a breath of fresh air. And I said, okay, that's fine. So ended up, I'm like, hotel check-in time went. So we both went there. I put my bags in, and then he had already planned activities for us. So we went and played a game, drove go-karts and everything like that, and as he was driving and everything, of course, the car, right? As he was driving and stuff, he kept saying one thing. He kept saying, are you ready for this life? Are you ready for an adult life? And I have to let you know, it's like, we have a good amount of, an age difference. He is 15 years older than me, right?
15.
15.
Wow. Okay.
And yeah, it was a lot, but I only knew his age when I was already there, and I was like, you are this age? I could not believe it because typically I wouldn't go for that age range at all. You know what I mean? So I was like, I couldn't believe it to the point where I was like, pull out your driver's license, show me. So he showed me the license, and I was like, wait, you were born on this day, and we shared the same birthday.
Whoa.
Yeah, so crazy, right? So
what are the chances?
What are the chances? So that's when I was just like, this is meant to be. You see this.
This is destiny speaking to me right here. This is meant to happen.
Destiny.
Wow.
So we had such a good time, and then left the hotel, and then came to pick me up for breakfast and everything like that. So I stayed there just one night because I wasn't going to stay a whole weekend in a place I don't know, right? Yeah. So after breakfast, and then we did something else. He was just like, I want to keep this a norm. Every 2 weeks, you can drive over here or you can fly over here. Expenses covered. I just want to see you every 2 weeks. And that was because one of the weeks he has his kids.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then for me, that's the time I set a rule down. I was okay with that exchange because I do not want to be involved in people's kids' lives unless there's a ring on my finger. And that's what I specifically told him. I said, not a problem for me. I actually do not want to meet your kids in the nicest of ways,
Yeah.
So I don't want to get no kids involved or anything like that. So it's cool, So, weeks keep going, everything is the vibe phenomenal. But now my stories weren't aligning with my friends back home, right? Why are you out of town every 2 weeks? Those are questions they would ask, And I'm just like, no, I'm going to see my friend at this place. So it's the same place, but I'll just say, I'm going to see my friend, it is what it is. And then that kind of caused some, because I feel like for me, my best friend knew. And then it was a matter of just me lying. But then I was just like, dude, if I could tell you guys, I would tell you guys. I really want to tell you guys. But then it's not my place to share that information with someone else's family, right?
I mean, or was it a case that you knew you could have shared, but it was just difficult because you knew they wouldn't approve?
I don't think they wouldn't approve. I think they would have maybe, for my thinking, they would have spread the information to places where he wasn't ready to answer to.
Right, I see. Yeah, because he did say that it's just his nuclear family that knew, right?
Yeah, that knew.
Okay, yeah. All right, gotcha.
So, fast forward, about 3 months later into our endeavors,
into your
ice breaks.
Into your endeavors.
The ice breaks,
what does that mean?
I was in town in his town, right? And then they had drove over to the same town to be with their other cousin. So they were like, hey, my friends, his cousins, basically, right?
Okay.
So they're like, oh, we want to, he was like, oh, you know what? I'm in town. I can come see you guys and everything like that. And then he was just like, you know what? Let's go together because they already know. And I was like, wow, first of all, this is a compromising situation because was it my choice to go? No, I felt like he should have been the one to tell his family alone, right? And then say on top of that, me and Taliza are together, or dating or seeing each other, right? I mean, we're already on the car and he's just like, it's on the way. So it's like, I don't have control over the wheel, so might as well. So we get to the place, I walk in, and the laughter that just broke in that house. Oh my gosh, it was just like suspense and then laughter. And then, of course, like people are trying to break the ice as to what's going on. So he walked in first and then he walked in with me holding my arm. And then everyone was just like, this is unreal,
Yeah. Did you feel embarrassed?
I was embarrassed, uncomfortable. I was not myself. So like, I guess that's where that lesson, take time to know yourself and also express yourself. Like, I don't want to go. You can drop me off. You can do whatever you want, but I don't want to go. So I walked in. It was very compromising. And then, one of the cousins throws a joke like, oh, a little birdie told me that you and together, but I didn't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, so that happened. And then, the girls were just like, they could tell that I was uncomfortable. So they took me aside and then we went into the restroom because everyone was getting like doled up because they were about to go to like have a night out.
Yeah.
They were getting doled up. They were asking me questions and everything like that. And I was answering them honestly. And they're like, oh, so every 2 weeks you're lying to us that you're coming to your friend and you're, and I was like, yeah, like humbly, like it's just a compromising situation. But then I tried my best to express myself in that given situation, but I was definitely uncomfortable. So, I guess because we are off the same age range and we had kind of explained what was going on, they were like, oh, okay, that's fine. Anyway, we're going out. You guys want to meet us at a club? And I was like, oh, okay, maybe drinks might assist us in making me comfortable. I don't know.
Helping you relax.
Let's go ahead. So we went back. And now, like, from the 3 weeks, now I was staying at the home. Like, we were at the house, right? So we got to the house, his home, changed and everything, and went back out to go meet everyone, So as we were discussing in the car, I was, did I want to do that? No. Could you have done that in different ways? Like, no, but he kind of like was like, I get you, but also it's already happened. So it's kind of like, forget about it, forget about what could have happened. It's already happened. And I was like, okay, fine. So we moved, had a fun night, it was a fun night and everything. And they came back the next day to the house. And cause I cook, I love cooking. That's my number one thing. Everyone knows me for cooking a good meal, be it cultural, be it, Western, be it anything. I cook really well. Yeah. So even like for him, like I wouldn't cook for his kids, but I'll cook in excess for his kids to have dinner sometimes. Okay. And so they came over, ate, we all laughed about it. And they were like, why didn't you guys tell us? So it's like he was on mute and I was like, why are you muting yourself? You are the one who came to pursue me. You know what I mean? So you need to tell your cousins how it happened, So after I realized that he was just muting himself, I just fully like expressed like what happened, everything in detail. So of course they couldn't believe it. We all left to go back to the same town, right? So now we're now in that town. About 2 or 3 weeks later, guess what happened?
What happened?
One of the cousins told their parents that I was dating him. As a mistake. I don't know. Yeah, as a mistake is what happened. Yeah. And when I say it blew up the phones, like, oh, my best friend was called. Did you know this was happening? Like it was just one slip up. It was a slip like, oh, yeah, well, we saw Taliza with Dizo at this place, and they're actually together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
like one of those honest, genuine mistakes.
Yeah, so for me, I didn't see it as a mistake. At the time, I did not see it as a mistake. I was just like, why would you do it? Knowing our culture, knowing what goes on, like, you know what I mean? Like, it was just a bad thing because that side of the family didn't know that he was separated, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I'm just like, you guys, look at what you're doing. Now names were coming that, I'm a home wrecker, aka I know Punza Musha, which
Yeah.
means like I'm a whole home wrecker. I've come here, like, who's this person? What is she? We want to talk to her mom. And I was like, talk to whose mom? Like, I already, when you're playing that in your head and it's just like the events do not go in your favor.
Yeah.
So finally, I called him and I was like, this is the situation that's here. And it's not my fault. It is your fault. You need to control it and you need to give me a call back and tell me what's going on.
Yeah.
So he went through the hierarchies of talking to the relatives and he spoke to the one relative that everyone listens to. And he was just like, this is the situation. Me and her are separated. Actually came as, I'm seeing her, but then she came at a time where we were separated and divorced. Here are the papers, here's the documents, I'm sending them over, but do not go to her family. So I was like, but of course my tummy is rolling. I'm sat here in class, okay, I'm getting my education, trying to get my degree, and I'm stressing over this thing. Like, I got a headache and everything like that. I was just like, this is a lot. Like for me, it was just like, this is the end of me chasing my degree because my mom is just going to be like, oh, you're grown? Okay, cool. You can pay for yourself then. You know what I mean? That's just how it goes. Those are the situations I had been playing. So weeks go by and then my best friend came to me and then she just gave me closure. And she said, no, our parents are not going to tell your parents. So it's fine. So thank goodness, man. Thank goodness for that. I was just like, okay. And then after that situation happened, we met in a mutual town, like halfway. So you got a hotel and everything. And then we met. And then, of course, we were discussing this issue. And I just expressed what I felt. And I wasn't happy. And everything like that. And then, for the first time, I saw this man break down. How humiliating it was for him. It's not an event that a man wants to go through, aka divorce. Like, what did you do? So he actually broke down what his wife did for them to separate, and he tried to work on it. And it was just like, for me, even like spiritually, it was just a situation where even the Bible says leave if this happens. But he tried to work on it and she kept doing what she was doing. And then they decided to separate and then they decided to move on with their lives.
No, I don't want to get into the details of his situation because that's his business. But the way that you've presented it sounds as if she may have cheated on him.
Yes.
Right. Did that make you feel more compassion for him?
Yes. I think, yes, I definitely felt more compassion for him because he's not in like an emotionally expressive kind of guy.
Yeah.
So for him to actually like break down and shed a tear, I was like, oh, wow, this actually like broke down this man and he wanted to have his family. He wanted to have that life. You know what I mean? So I definitely felt a ways about it. And I got his reasoning to not telling the other people, because judgment comes no matter what you say, whispers come. So
it makes a lot of sense because it's not very common. It's not unusual, but it's not very common that a wife cheats on a husband.
Yeah.
And when that happens, sometimes when guys are having conversations with themselves, they're like, yo, man, can you believe it? His wife stepped out on him. Oh, he must be doing something wrong. Something is not right. It just makes you feel less of a man. So it's understandable why he kept all of that very close to his chest and didn't say much about it.
Yeah.
But by this point, how long had you guys been dating? And throughout this whole conversation, you haven't really cemented when you guys became an item. It's like you just mellowed into the relationship.
Exactly. And that's where I was kind of like going into now. So this is now 4-5 months in, now about close to 6, right?
Yeah.
And I started having questions because, of course, a girl, I'm like, what are we? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm not just driving because I'm crazy. Like, can you, like, what's going on? And then, like, for me, I want that traditional, will you be my girlfriend? And I expressed that to him, and he's just like, you're my girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not enough. At this point, now everyone knows. So what's the problem? You can now hold my hand to the store. You can now, because now, whenever we would walk, sometimes it would look like not my father, like he's my brother and I'm the sister. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just like, no, that's not the case, So I was just like, hey, like, what are we? Like, I need that question. So I think it got out of him because I had asked for it, but he was just like, you're my girl. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Like, I need to know, are you girlfriend? Add girlfriend to that. So then after I talked to him, like a few days later, that's when he asked me to be his girlfriend. I was like, of course.
that must have felt nice.
It did. But, it wasn't as sweet. It wasn't like a fairy tale. It was just casual conversation. But I'm okay with that as long as, we have a stamp on it. Problems on problems, Tinto, So about 2 weeks later after that, one of my friends who was at, the bathroom friend was like, she texted me and she was like, Teleza, I have some news for you. And then she sent over his picture and she was like, isn't this your man? And I said, it sure is. And then she said, well, your man has scheduled a date with one of my friends here in our town.
What?
For Saturday. And I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And I was like, scheduled? Like, what do you mean scheduled? Like, she is makeup ready and is ready to go on a date with this guy. And they have a date for Saturday. And I'm just like, Saturday?
Wow.
When he has his kids? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, say what? So...
This is getting very interesting.
And then I was like, cool. So this was in the morning for me. So his schedule is wakes up, goes to the gym, after gym, showers, and then goes to work, right? So I called his phone and I was like, what are you doing? And then I'm in the gym, you know that. And I was like, okay, cool. I need you to step out right now. And I was pissed. And I said, oh, I didn't know you were planning to go out on a date with ABC. And he was like, quiet. And I was like, why are you quiet? Like, why are you quiet? You don't know that you have reservations at ABCD with ABCD?
Jeez. Yeah.
And then he was quiet. He was like, Teleza, let me explain. So he tries to go on. I was trying to tell you this yesterday. Remember when I was on the phone and trying to say, I kept trying to say, I have something to tell you, and I was like, okay, so what did you have to tell me? And then he was like, well, I was set up with someone. And I was like, first of all, don't lie. Because I can pull up all the text messages you sent and you were the pursuer in this thing. Okay, there's no setup. No, hey, this is my friend told me about you. You have set up. Tell me what's going on. It's like, let me go ahead and cancel. And then for me, like, I was so irritated to that fact. Yeah. I just hung up the phone. And I called my friend and I was like, how serious is it? It's just like, oh yeah, they've been talking for about a week or so. And he suggested they meet up on a Saturday. And I was like, thank you for your information, right? Let me see what happens. And she's like, oh, no, just give me, a text or call. Whenever you need my assistance or need confirmation for anything, I'm here for you. And I was like, okay, cool. So now I'm dealing with this.
You had an insider on the job. This was really good for you,
Yeah, it was good for, like, I was like, as a friend, like, she was like riding for me. She was just like, no, this is good. No, you should... Why are you even second guessing it? You should break up with this person, right? So text messages he starts texting my phone, texting.
So is this the part where you say your second lesson was relationships are not baseball? Leave on the first strike. This is the first strike, right?
Yes, and I didn't leave on the first strike.
Why did you stick
around? Can you believe it? I think I was naive. I think I'd already created a picture in my mind and I really did want it to work. Like, I really thought like we were very much compatible together. And because he was older and I was still developing, it was almost like a mentor type thing. I was like, I want to get to where you're at. It was just motivation. So even when we'll talk, we would not just talk about relationship, we'll talk about finances. Like, it's just he broke down the system of how everything goes, why I need to open certain bank accounts, why I need to save. You know what I mean? Like, it was just one of those things that on top of the relationship, he was building me to prepare me for after graduation, right? And of course, I'm thankful for that too. So at the end of the day, he takes my phone or whatever, you know, I cave for, you know, a little 2 minutes, you know, for me, it was just 2 seconds. And I opened back up and I was like, don't do this again. Like, why are you doing that? Because it's disrespecting me and it's humiliating, you know? So, of course, I get back with him and I didn't tell the friend that informed me. And then the friend that informed me was just like, you made me look like a stupid person because I gave you this information and you honestly didn't act on it, or you did act on it and you didn't even give me the decency to call me back and tell me that this is the decision you're taking, you know?
Yeah.
So our relationship went on the rocks after that situation, right? So it came down to around Christmas time, right? So his sister came down, you know, I met his sister. You know, we were staying in the same place. So, you know, I'm chefing up, cooking breakfast for everyone. So it was a good interaction. And then I was flying out to go to one of my close friends' place. Like, I just flew out and so that he has time with his family. And I wasn't going to be around the kids, right? So I flew out from that town and I went to, you know, a different place. And I was telling my friend about everything that's going on. And she was like, to be honest, me hearing your story off the bat, this guy sounds very much controlling. 1. 2, it sounds like you are giving so much more than he is. And I was like, why do you say so? You know, he pays for it. It's like finances are not everything. Emotionally, is he expressing to you that he cares for you, that he loves you? Like, what is he doing? And I was like, nothing. And then after that, she did express that you're traveling all the time. Why doesn't he travel to you? You know, that's your time going.
That's a very good question, you know? It's a really, really good
you
question.
Know, yeah, and she was like she put me back to, hey, he's like giving finances, but you're giving time out of your day. Like, that's 8 hours out of your whole weekend you could be using to something else that is taken solely on traveling. Like, how is that happening? How do you see this as, you know, just him paying for it is enough, you know? And then she did express that, you know, this whole 2-week situation, like every 2 weeks, but still he did this thing that over on a Saturday that you thought he was going to be with his kids. He basically, you know, was planning on dates. What makes you think that he's not doing the same thing? Got me thinking, man, like, it was the perfect timing, because after that I came back to the house and I was just like, you know, I started demanding certain things. I was just like, because we had already planned, he was just like, you know, I want kids in the next year. And I was very much accepting of that. He wanted me to move to his town and finish school in his town. And I was like, my parents are not going to pay for that. And he's like, no, I'll pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, all of those things were moved to me. Your life is to me, you know, to me. So she, my friend, kind of like opened my eyes out to that, you know, and I was grateful for that. So I got back, and then that was my thing. My first thing, I was like, well, in the next 2 weeks, I'm not coming. So either we meet halfway or you're coming over, you know, to see me in my town. And then he threw a fit. Like, he was just like, what do you mean? I pay all of these? And I was like, what? Like, are you kidding me? And I was just like, I sacrifice my time. I'm always here. 8 hours out of my whole weekend is taken away. And you think that costs just, you know, paying for my gas? You know what I mean? Like, no, it doesn't work that way. And then, you know, he was upset. So I left the house, and he was upset, and I left him upset, you know. So I think that trip changed me a lot. And now, because I was having insecurities, even when we had met, like later on, like before birthday weekend, right? I had gone, please don't do this, because if you go through a guy's phone, you're going to find what you're looking for. I had gone through his phone, and I had found out about 2 or 3 girls that he was trying to like initiate conversation with.
So,
you know,
so before you go too deep into what you found in your phone, why did you feel the need to go through the phone in the first place? It doesn't sound like you needed to do that before. Why now?
because now my second friend, the one I traveled for, she kind of gave me, she didn't tell me to go through his phone, but she kind of gave me the reasons as to why I should not just believe his word, because he betrayed my trust first time. Why would it all of a sudden, like, stop, you're not together, you're not, why would it suddenly stop? And you're in different towns, so at the end of the day it's still like a 4-hour transition. Like, just be on alert, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, I found out about these 2-3 chicks, but just like one of the other podcasts, you know, when she had to explain, she's like, why? You knew this evidence, but you always think that you're better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm so much better. First of all, way good looking. You know what I mean? Like, I was just like, you know, boosting myself. I was like, way good looking. I cook, I clean. Like, you know, this is what it is, you know? So with that exchange, but I would slowly bring up these women in like a tactical way. Like this one time I was just like, so I saw ABCD on your phone. You talk to her? You know her? You know, trying to see that, hey, listen, she probably knows something that I don't know, but he just wouldn't share. Because one of the women was actually one of like our old friends, like old friends that we all knew. Yeah. And I was just like, oh, you know her? You talk to her? They're like, yeah, we're in the same program. So I was just like, I'm her mentor, is what he said. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So I started being very rebellious, and I was just like, you know what? I think for me, it was now more, I kept wanting to prove myself in that relationship, but already, like, I was not interested. I was moody all the time. I was angry at him all the time. Yeah. And then our birthday weekend came up, you know, and he did a lot, not a lot. You see, now, did you hear what I just said? I said he did a lot, because in my mind, it's already a lot. He decided to like surprise me by coming into my town. And I see that as a lot, you know, but it's crazy because my friend is just like, that's nothing. That's the first time after 8 months of you guys being together.
Yeah, that has come over. So,
exactly. Look at your mileage and look at his mileage. And I'm telling you, there's a big difference, you know. So that's kind of like what she kept emphasizing. So, of course, the birthday thing was good. But then it's just, I was so moody on that weekend. I just wanted to be more with my friends than I wanted to be with him for that event. So we stayed at the house for long. I was just like, why are you rushing to go to the hotel? It's like, I want to be with you. And I'm like, oh, well, we are with people. You came down into town. Your cousins want to see you. You know, I was making excuses because I just knew that for that kind of like, there was nothing that I wanted to do with him now. Like emotionally, I had already started detaching.
Yeah, you're checked out. You're checked out.
Yeah, I was checked out, you know. So that happened. And then we got back to the hotel, just fought ourselves to sleep, and not physically, but verbally. I was just like, don't touch me, don't do anything to me. Like nothing is happening. Like seriously, nothing is happening. And then, you know, he was just kind of like, I drove all this way. And I was like, how many times have I driven your way? You know? So it was that debate, that exchange. And then I think the biggest blow for me was a couple months later. He was like, oh, I'm going to my sister's country. So he flew out to go to his sister's country. He's like, oh, yeah, the whole family is coming into that country. So I decided to just fly out. And I was like, oh, okay, have a good time and everything. But for me, I'd already, when I say like checked out, I was just like, you're just telling me to tell me. So, he goes to his, calls me on a Saturday. Oh, I was like, oh, how's the kids? How's your sisters? How's everyone? They're like, oh, they're good. You know, they're out here making breakfast, you know. Only to find out a week later, my best friend, she had moved to that country, right? I go, hey, you just missed your uncle. Like he was just there this past weekend. And she was like, no, I was at her house this past weekend. And I was like, what do you mean? So you didn't see him? She was like, no, he was in the country, but in a different town.
What the hell?
I was like, what? Are you kidding me? And she was like, yeah, like we already knew. He actually called in and he was in a different town. And the sister kind of had expressed that, yeah, she's seeing another girl. He actually went and saw another girl. So, you know, because I was checked out, I just decided to give him a call and I was just like, where were you? And then he did this lie and I was like, oh, how was your sisters and everything? Lied. And then after he had done his lies, I just hung up the phone and I texted him all the information that I had. And I texted him all the pictures of his family, his nuclear family, with my best friend, right, his cousin, for that weekend. And I dated it. I just circled the dates. And I was like, where were you at? So of course he calls, guilty conscience. He's just like, this is a lot. I've noticed that you're not emotionally connecting with me anymore. So I just decided to do what I want to do. And I was like, you are a liar. You lied, and you didn't even lie through omission. You blatantly said my family's fine, they're cooking breakfast. You lied. So after that, he was just like, I think he only realized it after he came back. He was trying to fight for me, called my phone, I deleted my messages. I started like moving on with my life. Like I really got into like a dark time because I was just like, this is a lot, And then a year later, I graduate, He takes my phone. Thank you. But like, he takes my phone. How are you doing? And then he's just trying to be like, I knew you could do it. And I was like, you knew you could do it, but you wanted to give me a baby before I graduated? Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think we did have some form of closure, but it's been of recent that he's been hitting up my phone a lot. I ignore, like, all the messages that I have are not opened from him. He's just like, hey, just checking up on you. I dreamt of you. But guess what? The man is married again.
Again?
Yes, sir. He has a whole new wife.
And how long have you guys been apart?
Over a year.
So within a space of a year, he's found somebody else, courted, did the whole dowry thing, had a wedding.
No, not dowry, because of her culture doesn't do the whole, but they did like a wedding. They are ring.
Wow.
They are married. So even the first time he texted my phone, I was just like, oh, congratulations on your wedding. And he didn't reply to that message for like a long time.
That is nuts.
So it was nuts because during like a whole relationship, Tinto, you'll be like, I'll never marry a woman from this place again.
Yeah.
They don't have cultural value, and you married the duplicate of your former wife. And then the other time I stressed a point because you know how insecure I was feeling about all the other girls he was dating. He was talking to, sorry. So the one thing they had up on me was they were established women. They had a career. They had started. They were older than me. You know what I mean? So I was just like, what? I asked him this one time and I was just like, hey, what makes you think that, like, what makes you, like, what is my edge? Because you could go out there, find a really good looking young woman, fit and everything like that, and she has her own stuff. I'm not I'm still depending on my parents. Like, what's the difference? Like, what can stop you from going to the other chicks, And he just said, oh no, I really love and I do care about you and everything like that. So you have nothing, like they have nothing on you, and I see your potential. But I'm just like, you went and you married the exact same person that you said you weren't going to marry, and you're happy and you're moving on with your life. And the week before, actually, remember when I was like, hey, you know what? I have something to get off my chest, because almost a year and a half later, he texted my cousin and was like, hey, XYZ, are you married or are you still looking for someone? And I'm like, why are you texting my cousin that he didn't know of?
So what was he trying to do there?
I don't know. Honestly, I feel like he wanted to get my attention, and he surely did. He surely did, in the sense of I had to text him and I was just like, first of all, you don't know my cousin like that.
Yeah.
If you wanted to ask about her marital status, right, you should have called my phone or texted me, hey, is she still single? I'm looking for, a friend is looking for someone. You know, that's his excuse that he gave. Whatever, a friend is looking for someone.
He obviously wanted to get with your cousin, didn't he?
Yeah, I don't know. At this point, I don't know. But I'm just like, you don't even know her. She stays in a whole kachana. Like, what are you? But anyway, he flies out for people. So I cannot put it down on him. So I was just like, okay, I mean, you should have come back. And I'm like, he quoted that him and I were good friends. And I was like, don't tell people that, because we are not good friends. I know you. And and I was like, does your wife know that we're good friends? Do you tell her that we're good friends? I don't think. After that, that's when I just, shut it all down. And I was just like, this is too much. And I was just like, I need to tell this story. So I'm just like, oh.
So is he blocked on your phone?
Yes, he's now blocked on my phone.
He's blocked everywhere?
Except for WhatsApp.
Why?
I don't know.
Do you still think about him then?
I think about the mentor relationship we had because I still see him as someone who's done a lot in life, and I do kind of see him as like a motivational thing like I did before in the relationship. But in terms of like a relationship, no, I do not think about that man. I'm happily in a relationship with, I would say, the love of my life.
So,
Yeah.
does the love of your life know that you still have him available as a mentor?
No, he's not available as a mentor because I feel like we don't talk about mentorship conversations anymore. He's just not blocked on my WhatsApp, and I don't have a reason for that. But he knows that whenever he communicates text messages, I do let him know that he communicated, and even sometimes respond to him whilst in his presence as well.
So you've just said two things that kind of fight with each other.
Mm-hmm.
On the one end, you still have him available on WhatsApp because you're really interested in his mentor side of things. And then on the other end, you say you don't know why you have him on your phone because you're not really into the mentor stuff. So what is it really that is making you keep tabs on this guy?
I don't know, man. I really don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. I'll be very honest with you. I don't know how to answer that question. And even like during the discussions, all their cousins know, they're just like, why is he texting your phone?
Yeah.
He's a whole married man. Why is he texting your phone?
I mean, he is a whole married man and you're in a
Yep.
really good relationship now. You see, with guys, sometimes all you need is just to have a little seed of doubt for a good thing to go down the drain. All right.
That's true.
So maybe let's just, and then this is just an assumption. This is a hypothetical situation. Let's just present this. Let's say this guy texts you and he says, "I really miss you. I'm not happy with my wife. I want to give this a second shot." Right. And then if your guy right now is not really confident in what you guys have, and he sees that, he might be one of those guys who takes a relationship at one strike and is out without even taking. So you're risking a lot. By keeping a window open for somebody who's married and unavailable emotionally, and this whole mentor stuff, there are a whole load of many mentors wherever you are, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So is that really a risk worth taking?
No, not at all.
So what's going to happen next?
What's going to happen is I'm about to block him from my phone because I don't have a reason not to. Yeah. I think the only thing that he came back up on my WhatsApp was the cousin situation when she was just like, he's texting me. Yeah. So the only exchange that I had was to text him like, hey, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, and that was it. And then he tried to engage in a conversation. Oh, so how are you? I really thought we were good friends.
Yeah.
And I just cut off at that. Like, I didn't even read that message. And then I went back and then I archived the messages so I don't see it. But when it comes to those situations, I can tell you, like, why haven't I blocked him? Like, I just haven't. And I don't think I'm that kind of person to be, it's not that I don't have any emotional connection for sure, right? But like for me, I don't know how to explain it, but blocking someone does not really mean I've like conquered, like, or even saying that I'm not emotionally like connected with this person. So, but I do get your logic. I do get it. Like if he sees like a text message just saying like, I miss you, like how am I going to explain all of this going on, you know? Exactly. So I do get that, but it's one of the, yeah,
very interesting. Well, you had three really good lessons. The first one was we all learn differently, and for some they want to learn through experience, and that's exactly what happened with you. In that there were a few warning signs from what you could see and what from people around you were saying, and you still decided to go ahead. But then that experience just reaffirmed to you that this is not the thing that's set up for me. So thank you for that. We all learn differently. Experiences for some. The second lesson was that relationships are not baseball. I really like that. Leave on the first strike. You have an opportunity to leave on the first strike, but you can't hang around. But understandably, because you learn differently and you wanted to get the full experience for you to be convinced fully about what was happening. And then the last one that you gave was that know yourself and know your value. So today, do you know yourself and do you know your value?
Oh, I absolutely love the person I'm becoming. And I've become and I'm becoming. For me, it's just motivation. Oh my gosh. When I tell you, even my confidence, because I used to have like a really bad confidence issue when I was younger, growing up around guys. I was like tomboyish. So being pretty wasn't like a thing for me. You know, now I'm just like, okay, I can start feeling myself a little bit, you know, and I'm also educated. So that's another strike that almost make my family so happy almost really every day that I wake up. So that's more than, and then on top of that, like the relationship I'm in, I've never been in love, because I've always thought, because like I was an alpha, I needed to date an alpha to complement each other. But he is the calmest of spirits I've ever met in my life. He just balances me out so much. It's like, why are you shouting? Teleza, why are you shouting? Why are you shouting all the time? Calm down. You know, he's such a calm spirit, you know, same thing. So at the end of the day, I think I won. And I won in this one. Not I won because it wasn't a battle, but I think I definitely am very much content with what I have now, and I wouldn't replace it for anything.
That is really, really, really good to hear. And those are the sounds of somebody who's got newfound confidence and value and understanding of who they are. Well done to you. Well, thank you very much. For those who've been listening to this episode, again, the 3 lessons were that we all learn very differently. Secondly, relationships are not baseball. Leave on the first strike. And most importantly, know yourself and know your value. Teleza, thank you very much for this intriguing and interesting story. You've been listening to another Feeling Station podcast, and I look forward to catching you in the next one. Have a good week. Peace.
Tell me what you're feeling. Tell me what you're feeling. Now that it's over. Let me talk about my feelings. Let me talk about my feelings.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.
Love is a fire.
Urudoi motoru noto kujidziro amai.